Hey, welcome back to That Horror Game Podcast. I love that name. What do you think about that name, Rachel?
It's good.
It's good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Rachel has instructed me to not ramble and get to the fucking point. So with that, let's go to horror game news. So Visage, the game that we talked about in one of our previous podcasts.
Don't remember it.
Hold.
Oh, this is Layers of Fear Part 2.
So, Layers of Fear Part 2.
I didn't realize we were recording. Burn on the developers of that fucking game.
So, Visage got successfully funded on Kickstarter with a month to go. So, it looks like they have made double what they asked for so far. And they still have got a month to go. So, there's that. Hey, man. Money to be made in making PT clones.
Apparently.
The Walking Dead Michonne's first episode debuts February 23rd, a.k.a. We're recording this Wednesday, February 24th, if memory serves. Yep. So that came out yesterday. And it looks to be more of a psychological take on the aspects of horror that the Walking Dead, the season 1 and 2, the Telltale games, that they didn't really do that. They went more for trying to tell the story plainly. There were a few psychological aspects to those episodes, those seasons. But Michonne, especially in the they have the first few minutes of it up on YouTube, and it looks she's like hallucinating and seeing like some kids. I don't know if they're her kids or probably are, but yeah, it's supposed to follow the comic, like the not necessarily to a T, but follow the same sort of world that the comic takes place in, not the show. So. Yeah, check that out. I'm gonna.
I'm not.
You're not?
Sorry.
Did I not do a very good job explaining what that was? No?
No, I mean, no, you did fine.
It's not your cup of tea.
I'm just being a bitch. I've got nothing wrong with I haven't even played The Walking Dead.
That's something that I hope we fix. We were going to play The Walking Dead Season 1 because of Black History Month. And The Walking Dead Season 1 is one of the, 3 horror games that stars a black protagonist.
Listen to me, if you played, and then we're talking about another game here, Layers of Fear, before they updated it, you could look in the mirror and the dude looked black and had mutton chops. And now
I can vouch for that.
You can't see his reflection, I don't think, in the mirror anymore.
You do not have a reflection
You do
anymore.
see his white hand, so he went from... But yeah, I just didn't want to... I didn't want to do it because it was depressing. It's depressing. The black people just aren't a thing in... I mean, not only horror games, but just games in general. And if they're in there, then they're killed off.
And also, I was apparently misremembering one of my favorite horror games that starred a black protagonist, The Suffering, because apparently the protagonist in The Suffering is not black. I think he's Hispanic. I looked that up because I was researching, trying to find games that featured black protagonists.
I think I looked that up and he didn't even, he just looked white.
Yeah, I don't know why I was misremembering that.
You weren't the only one because when I looked at pictures, I think I came across some other people who were like, no, the protagonist in that game is, or the character you play anyway is black, and I was like, no, he's not.
Anyways, you know how we're talking all the time about whether a game's worth it or not, and all the money that goes into, making games, and if it's worth it to actually, pay for an experience that's 2 hours, etc.
Yeah.
Dying Light Spotlight Edition is available. It is $10 million. And that cost mainly comes from becoming an actor in the upcoming Dying Light movie. But I thought it would be funny to talk to you about the fact that game is $10 million. That cost include Rachel's making a like. Imagine someone just sucked in an eternity worth of air and is blowing that air out of their mouth, and it's not making any sound. That's what she's doing right now.
It seems it seems like an under the table kind of like, because your average, okay, a gamer is not going to spend $10 million on a game. So who is going to spend $10 million on that game, and why? Mm-hmm. It sounds shady, right?
Rich people who want to not star, but be in a movie. Apparently the person, whoever gets that game, the Spotlight Edition, also gets acting lessons, and they get to star as like some fucking character in the movie. I don't know. It's fucking stupid. I only put it on here because I thought I knew you were going to make that face, like that. What the fuck face. So, anyways, yeah, that's too rich for our blood. The Binding of Isaac got rejected from the iOS App Store because Apple said it depicted, quote, violence against children, unquote.
Well, does it? I haven't played it.
You haven't played it? Binding of Isaac is basically you play as a baby, and you're in the basement because your super religious mom locked you in the basement.
Oh, okay.
And it's a roguelike, and you run around and shoot you shoot tears because the baby's sad because he got locked in the basement and he's crying. So, I mean, fuck Apple. Anyway, Bethesda says that Doom's main campaign will take 13 plus hours to complete. So, indeed. The Works of Mercy is a Kickstarter campaign that's asking for around $11,000 to make a game where the protagonist is forced to kill people. It takes place in a house where a man has abducted your wife and child. The man calls you and tells you to murder people by bringing them to your house. I watched the trailer for this. It's actually pretty interesting, although on the campaign page they say, like, everyone's doing a PT clone. Well, we're not a PT clone, but the entire game takes place in your house,
and scary stuff happens?
Yeah. So anyway, but it does look like, at least it's an interesting take on it. It's not like Layers of Fear. We're harping on Layers of Fear. But it's not like Layers of Fear where it's just like straight up the formula from PT. This one seems to take that idea of a set and a set piece that you don't really deviate too far from. So in this case, a house, and you don't leave the house. At least in the trailer, you didn't. But the horror comes from dealing with a man who's abducted your family on the phone, and you're talking to him, and you're given like prompts, like he asks you like, would you kill a person? And you're like, yes, no, maybe, shit like that. And you're allowed to answer with all those different various things. But the interesting thing in the trailer, I would say go and watch it. It's pretty interesting. What happens is you're the guy who kidnapped your family tells you to call a hooker, and he says that he's rigged the toothbrush in your bathroom with an explosive charge, and if someone were to put it in their mouth, it would explode, which is like, okay, how'd they get that? But I think it might be remote, and then he's got cameras all over your place because apparently he hooked those up while you were knocked out.
Lethal Weapon 2.
There you go. But yeah, so apparently you're supposed to call a hooker, and then they ask you like, okay, well, what kind of hooker do you want? And it's like, okay, who do I want to kill? It's interesting. It's interesting.
It sounds sick.
It is sick. That's the area that horror games tend to mess around with. But yeah, there's some that are just like, I don't know. Is that entertaining?
I mean, not for me, no.
No, not for me either. It was interesting, though. I will say that. Anyways, so from now on, we're going to talk about your favorite subject, because there was a ton of news about Hideo Kojima this week and last week, because we didn't podcast the last week. So we're going to talk about your favorite subject, Silent Hill. So the first cold off the presses is that Cliff Bleszinski, known for his work with Gears of War, was offered by Hideo Kojima to work on a new Silent Hill game. But get this, he declined, saying that, quote, I would have fucked up Silent Hill, unquote. So, yeah, I don't know what Kojima was thinking with that one. I mean, it's interesting that his head is it was in that space, I should say, because Silent Hill is dead.
I don't really know. I know a lot of people wanted to play a full game, but then again, that might be the jaded part talking. I just didn't think it was gonna. I didn't think the next Silent Hill game from him would even be good. The demo was so good because the game it's 40 minutes and you're in a hallway. You have that limited amount of space to just like make it good and perfect it. I don't know.
Yeah, and if Metal Gear Solid 5 is a testament, it's Metal Gear Solid 5 speaks to what you're saying, because that was one of the main criticisms for the game, is that they had all of these open spaces, but they didn't really feel curated like the previous Metal Gear games were. They because they went for an open world thing, they didn't have the ability to really create a specific experience and tell a specific story in a way that's very grounded. They had to sort of be flexible with their areas, and that meant that, sometimes you walked into an area that was kind of bland and nothing really happened, and it was just so. Yeah, no, totally. That's one of the great things about using a limited space, is that you can spend time with it, perfect it, really work on the graphics too, because that was one of the best things about PT. But yeah, no, totally. So yeah, Bleszinski is probably more of a testament to the fact that I think Kojima wanted to take things in a more action-oriented route at a certain point. Bleszinski's good with making sort of action horror. Gears of War is a testament to that. Bleszinski's, I was reading more about him, because this came out of like left field. I was like, what the fuck? But I read more about him. One of his favorite games is Resident Evil 4, which, knowing Gears of War, it's like that totally makes sense. And it seems to me that maybe Kojima wanted to do, something more along the lines of action horror at a certain point. He did the psychological shit really, really well. But, when you have a full game like that, there was a lot of criticism at the time when Silent Hills was actually a project that was real. And there was a lot of criticism that he couldn't do it. You can't do a full game, like a full experience, with just, the psychological aspects of PT. And, Layers of Fear can definitely point at the flaws of trying to do a quote-unquote full game like that. Yeah. So anyways, more Silent Hill news. Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro talked quite a bit about about horror in general in their DICE 2016 keynote. Some of their talk may reflect on the game they seem to be working on together, including a part where Kojima mentioned being interested in a, quote, different, unquote, type of VR horror game. This is really interesting because back when, again, Silent Hills was a real project that was being worked on, one of the things that I noticed is that Guillermo del Toro has this love affair with virtual reality and VR software and all that good stuff. And part of it is in, you can see bits and pieces of it in Pacific Rim, where the main protagonists operate giant robots using kind of sort of alternate reality VR gear, kind of a little bit. I don't know. That might be a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, that's a stretch, I think.
But suffice it to say, Guillermo del Toro is, he loves VR. So here's what Kojima said. And where I was going with that is because he was working on it, there was a lot of suspicion that maybe Silent Hills would be VR. It would be on Project Morpheus, because that's what that's what Sony is working on right now, trying to perfect their Project Morpheus VR kit for retail. I haven't heard much news about it, though. But anyway, here's what Kojima said about the VR horror stuff. He said, let's say you put the VR headset on, and there are a lot of people here. People you're not familiar with. You're not being told who you are, why you're there. That alone is scary. That alone makes you want to look away. For example, when you look away, you can have someone come into the room. You don't need to explain anything. That's something completely different. That alone is so interesting, the possibility of creating that. So, yeah, it's interesting that he's thinking out of the box with this sort of VR tech stuff, especially considering what it might say to whatever game him and Del Toro seem to be working on. Speaking of which, so far we know that Kojima is working on a PlayStation 4 exclusive game, but that may turn into a franchise that he talked about recently. He specifically mentioned possibly expanding into anime. He also said figures, too. So we also know that Del Toro will, quote, do whatever the fuck Kojima wants, unquote. Also, Kojima met with Norman Reedus and updated him on his company. So I don't know what I can't take anything that is happening with Kojima seriously. Like, I don't know if it's a public relations like charade. I don't.
I mean, to me, that's what it looks like.
He messed with us in the past. I think that because Del Toro seems to still be on board, that, you know, this project is probably going to have some horror aspects, some horror elements. He definitely talked about horror for VR. So he's interested in creating some sort of quote unquote horror thing. He specifically said that he will not work on something like PT again, though, because he himself admits that the market is inundated with PT clones at this point. So, yeah, he sort of realizes that he let the genie out of the bottle with that one, and it's running amok. But, you know, any good creator worth his salt doesn't stick to one idea, you know? Mm-hmm. His or her salt, I should say.
Sure.
Anything else to add? No?
No. I give a fuck about it. No, I don't. No, that's not it. That's not it. Whatever. I don't follow this guy, Hideo Kojima.
I follow him. I literally follow him.
He sounds just like he's a fucking attention whore, okay? To me, so.
Of course.
So I don't care.
Have you seen his beard?
I naturally, that makes me.
He has a beard, though. It's pretty good. He has a beard now.
Oh, beards are cool. So.
Yeah, they are.
Go fucking go.
I'm scratching my beard. You're telling me to go? Okay, bye.
No. Go on. That's the news. Is that the news?
That's the news.
That's the news.
Good night. Hey, Rachel.
What's up?
We just watched a preview of a game, an alpha build of a game called NightCry, and I was wondering, what are your first impressions?
My first impression, my only impression, my first and my last, is that the game fucking looks like dog shit. I would never fucking play it my entire life. Well, okay, actually, I take that back. If someone got it for me and I didn't have to pay it, I may just laugh, because it goes from boring, over the top, fucking like this dude cutting a dress and an eyeball and a beaker of water, to this dude getting eaten by a soda machine, only for it to suck again because he turns into this big black dark thing with giant fucking scissors that chases after this stupid girl in her high heels. And it's...
Did you like the main character? Did you like the protagonist?
I don't even know how to sum it up. She's well, her.
Rachel's
That's probably why she can't run.
She's motioning to her chest.
She has giant knockers. Bigger than her fucking head.
They literally knock. And as she runs, you hear...
I can't understand how she's running with those in high heels. Well, that's the thing. She's actually not running. She's more like...
Nope.
prancing...
Yeah, I've seen people online comment that she looks like she just shit herself. And she's like... Although to me, it looks like she's really, really got a shit. And she's like turtling. And she's trying her best to keep it in while run to the bathroom. So she's like kind of... But yeah. No, that dress is like... it's like a vice grip. It's just shoving her tits up. And it's... You can watch, as they really spent a lot of time on her tits, which is funny because they're so, not realistic. They literally look like just water sacks. And it's like someone who had no idea how tits work how tits work in real life, or has no firm grasp. Grasp of human anatomy.
Amount of giant fucking tits we see in video games, it would indicate to me that there's a surprising amount of men out there who don't know how tits work. Maybe have never touched a tit. Maybe have never seen a tit.
You know,
in real life.
My bachelor's is in fine art, and in order to get that in college, I had to do a drawing class. And for one project, we worked on it was a live nude of this woman. And we had to draw it upside down. And what happened was I drew it and I got it done and I gave it to the teacher. And she called me into her office after the class was done. And she was like, I'm not just tooting my horn, but she was like, you did such a great job drawing this woman's breasts. And she was like, I say that because every fucking person in all of my classes just draws round fucking tits. They're just perfectly fucking spherical, and it's ridiculous. And she was like, thank you for being one of the only people to actually realistically draw breasts. And I was like, okay, thanks, bye. But yeah, it was that always sticks with me. Anytime I see breasts like that in games, it's just like, holy shit, just fucking look at classical art. It's not it's not hard. Just draw fucking... God damn it. Whatever. Anyway, NightCry. Hey, did you know that this game is made by Hifumi Kono? Creator of the Clock Tower series? And that it is... the director is the same director as The Grudge, Takashi Shimizu? And, you know that lovely Scissorman
mm-hmm.
that we saw?
Mm-hmm.
He was done by Masahiro Ito, the creature designer for Silent Hill. So here's the thing about NightCry. I am really interested in playing this game, but not for any good reason. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because there's sort of a kind of a crisis happening in the horror fan community right now about whether or not they wasted their money on this shit. I will say right now, this game does not look good. If you are not interested in B-movie horror schlock, abandon ship. Do not get this game. It looks terrible, which is really sad because of the talent behind it. But also that a lot of horror game fans seem to have thought that this was going to be like a true return to form for the survival horror genre. They were kind of hoping that these guys would be able to do something that really sort of punched through the current game library, be able to say something that none of those games could, and sort of bring back the allure of what classic survival horror games were. But basically they're like, you're not a true horror game fan if you don't support this Kickstarter. And I didn't support it. And now the alpha's out, and it's a hot, steaming pile of shit. So, I don't know. I kind of want to say I told you so, but I am interested in playing this game, though. It looks amazing in terms of a ridiculous quality. Like, I legitimately love the guy getting sucked into the soda machine. I love that. I love it. But everything else, including the eye in the beaker... Yeah,
when your goal is when everything was over the top, and so eventually you're going to come across something that's, like, funny. Like, because the dude just standing there at the counter, like, cutting the dress over the top. The dude with the drinking the beaker of water with the eyeball in it over the top. And then you have the dude getting sucked into the over the top. You're eventually going to come across something that's, like, funny, but... Yeah. It seems like a fun game to make fun of on a stream.
Yes, agree.
So gift it to us when it comes out.
Thanks in advance. Mm-hmm. So I know what you're thinking, right off the bat. Firewatch, not a horror game. Well, you're not wrong. We chose to do Firewatch more because it's a thriller. More in the vein of Oxenfree. Because Oxenfree wasn't... We did Oxenfree earlier in another podcast, and Oxenfree wasn't really a horror game necessarily, but it was a thriller. And I think that horror, it's messier than just... just the box that people put around it. Oh, is there blood? Are there jump scares? No, it's messier. It goes all around, and there are definite thriller and horror elements in Firewatch, and that's why we're talking about it. Also because it's controversial, and a lot of people seem to be split on whether it's a good game or not. I honestly haven't really talked to you, Rachel, about our thoughts on it, so I'm going to come right out and say it. I really like the game. I thought it was really well done. And I like the ending. That's right. You heard it here first. I like the ending. I'm saying this in the spoiler-free version of this podcast because you have probably, if you're even interested in Firewatch, you've probably heard that the ending is weird. Well, I'm here to tell you it's fine. People are making much ado about nothing. Play it, come up with your own theories, come up with your own impressions. But it is definitely worth trying. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay, my turn?
Yep.
I will say that it's worth playing. I played it in one sitting, which is, I just don't, oh my god. I think I was playing it like 4 or 5 hours. You were watching me. I think you even fell asleep, and I continued to play. Okay, so that's significant for me because
it is.
I can't play that anymore.
Firewatch is what many would call a walking simulator, which is just shitty person speak for games that focus more on the experience and the environment. Although
the experience. So anything that's not Firewatch doesn't focus on the experience either.
No, but they're more.
The game itself that you're going to play is. I think it's fine to call it a walking simulator. Because that's what it is.
I would agree with that, but there is sometimes when people say that. The term was coined by jerks trying to basically make fun of a game for focusing more on story and trying to get you to experience the more, trying to form a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Experiential experience. That's kind of weird. I don't know if that... But yeah, I mean, games like Gone Home have had that walking simulator sort of tag attached to it. And while true, it is also kind of like, well, yeah, but it's more about the walking, it's just a weird thing, and I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into it.
No, I mean, you're probably not. I mean, it sounds about right. I imagine a bunch of hardcore gamers were like meant it in a negative sense, calling it walking simulator, but at the same time, it's also a pretty accurate description of it. I can play other games that have a heavy focus on the story, but yet also have combat, also have puzzles, things that make up a game. So I don't mind calling something like this, or especially Layers of Fear, where they like guide you forward. I mean, that's what it is. It's a walking simulator. It's this, yeah. I don't know. Take off. Just make sure you edit all my I don't knows. Okay.
I don't know. I think I'm going to leave them in.
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope.
But yeah, what it is basically a highly stylized first-person, I was going to say shooter, but first-person walker, I guess they would say, that revolves around a man who has just taken a job as a forest ranger.
Yeah, I guess.
And basically, he's in a tower. It's his job to stay in the tower and talk to a fellow forest ranger, or a fire watcher, Delilah. And they together go on various adventures. Well, more like just your character while Delilah talks to you on a walkie-talkie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, things get quickly kind of wacky. And yeah, there is a raccoon.
There's a raccoon. You get to I don't think this is a spoiler, but you get to take pictures. Is that a spoiler?
I mean, you can like screenshot shit, so like, no. Listen, what I'm saying is that can be misinterpreted, but yes, you do. Spoilers. Get a camera. And spoilers,
is that a fucking spoiler?
It has film in it, and spoilers, you can use that film to create pictures. No, it's not really a spoiler. It's like saying, oh, you've got a walkie-talkie in the game. It's like,
yeah.
All right.
But spoiler, you're on a walkie-talkie the entire game.
Which is cool how they do the talking, though. I mean, it's certainly weird when you have to press shift when, you and me are so used to hitting shift to run.
Wait a minute, shut the fuck up. The voice acting in this game was fucking good.
It was really fucking good.
Good.
It was really good. I really liked it.
I don't know if this is true or not, but Delilah, the voice actress for Delilah, reminds me of the lady in Soma. Like, she sounded like the lady in Soma. And
Yeah. Another game we need to talk about.
I don't know if it's her or not. So y'all find that out for me, okay? But it sounds like her.
It's not like we have access to the internet and could literally look it up right now as I'm looking up.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should do that.
Nah.
Well, both, because you hear two people talk. You hear two people talk the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
The dude you're playing, a big burly bear of a man, and Delilah, I love her, and they both do a great job.
They really do.
It's the way that they bring out the character through the dialogue that has you like sucked into the game. Well, it was like that for me.
Character development? You don't say.
No, I just meant the voice acting was good.
Oh, all right. So yeah, there's really not much else you can talk about without spoiling some bits of the game. Like, I really don't want to talk too much about the intro, because that's like, that was done. It was surprising to me. Like, it was done really well. A lot of this game is just done very well. It fits, and we could talk more about the themes and stuff that come into play during the spoiler version of this, but again, I kind of started this off weird, but yeah, no, it totally. I would 100% urge you to play this game. Firewatch is really good, and even if for some reason, whether you like the ending or not, doesn't matter. I think we can all agree that the experience of getting to that point was worth it. It was worth it.
How much is the game?
I knew you were going to ask that. And that is literally why I just opened up Chrome and I typed steampowered.com and Firewatch. I'm going to guess. Okay, ready? I'm not looking at the screen. Okay. You look at the screen. I'm going to guess $19.99.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, $20. Rachel would be all over that shit if it were $5. Oh.
I think it's more than $5.
Oh, wow.
But like
20? Is it worth 20?
I don't know. With that said, it's actually exceptionally good. But, it's also a short game. And if it's not good, it's not like the story is not convoluted. The story is very short. So, it's when it's short, it's easier to be good. So it should be good. That doesn't mean I'm not impressed. I am. But
there was a recent.
You keep making me play schlock. So Firewatch compared to all this other indie bullshit is like exceptional as fuck. But I don't know if it's.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Firewatch is indie.
Well, that's what I figured. That's what I'm saying. Like,
there was a recent news story that made the rounds. There was a kind of a hullabaloo on the Firewatch Steam forum, Steam boards. I'm pretty sure it was there. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But a person who played Firewatch played through the game. They liked it. They said the ending was really good. They were a fan of it. But they wanted to see if they were sort of thinking out loud, and they were like, maybe I should just return the game even though I liked it and get my $20 back because it was short. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's not something that I would personally do, but it is really short, and it's $20 fucking.
Yeah, but
so I'm just saying that I'm not surprised that thought's going to go through someone's head.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that I would do it.
The guy came around and was like, when one of the developers came into the discussion and said, like, look, this is weird. Like, if you like the game, then help pay for your experience and so that we can do it again. And he was like, oh, okay. At least that's what I heard. I don't know if that has changed at all. But anyway, it's just fucking ridiculous to me that, like, you could say that about a game that he said, or he or she, I don't fucking know who it was, said that was a good experience and they liked it. Like, pay for it then. If you like it, pay for it. I get if your complaint was that it cost too much and the game was like $60. That's fucked up. But if you fucking had a good experience and it was around the length of a movie for the same price as like a Blu-ray, come on, Or like wait until Steam puts it on sale, which will fucking happen at some point.
I don't think that comparing prices to different types of media is.
I'm just trying to make some sort of a comparison here to get people to realize that, like, what you're saying is ridiculous. Like, it's insane. Like, or you liked the fucking game.
Developers to maybe realize that we are used to playing something that you put in a lot of fucking hours. So maybe make your games fucking longer instead of going, oh, there's a story you want to tell. Let's put it in the form of a fucking game. How about this? I got an idea. Write a fucking book. Option is a fucking movie. But, when you make a game, we're used to putting in 20, 30, 40 fucking hours.
You realize that what you're saying is basically saying, fuck narrative gameplay. Fuck stories in games. We can just make those into books. We can just make those into films, which is not the case. You can create and craft a different experience in a game than you can with a movie or a book.
Yeah, I know, because I play games that are like that have a narrative focus. Those are the games I prefer, and yet I can still get 40 plus fucking hours in them. The narrative focus phrase irks me, because Witcher is narrative focused, but they knew that they were just like any piece of fucking entertainment. If it's a song, you go, okay, well, we need to put good lyrics in here. Wait, no, we don't, because it's a fucking song. So we can sit here and put in a popping fucking beat, have it climb the fucking charts. People are going to dance their asses out to it on the street. The lyrics can, whatever. You have a fucking movie and it follows like your formula. And it's like, well, yeah, we could put like heavy themes in here, and get people thinking. But actually, no, you don't, because it's still a fucking movie. It's still just a fucking story. It's the same with like your video games. I can play Dragon Age, which is heavily fucking narrative focused with tons of fucking dialogue. But guess what? Like, in Dragon Age Origins, you have, as crazy as it fucking sounds considering how long the game is, you have an equal amount of like dialogue and combat. So I would say that Dragon Age is a narrative focused game. I would call something like Firewatch like narrative only. Because that's, I think it's just the phrase like narrative focus. That's like,
no, I get
those
it.
games have existed before these types of games became a thing.
I get it. It's just it's more like it's like how I have a thing for walking simulators, I mean, yeah, that describes it, but that's not all that it is. So, yeah, I get it. So, Rachel, I get a sneaking suspicion that you'd probably recommend Firewatch.
I do recommend Firewatch.
I do as well. And I think we can leave it on that. Spoilers.
This is spoilers.
We're in Spoiler Town.
For Firewatch.
Population, us and you.
Mm-hmm.
Firewatch Spoiler City. I am the mayor, Bob. And I just want to say that fuck the haters.
And the gang.
Shit.
Drink some soda.
What was that?
I'll take a Sprite, please.
Kind of like a shiver.
Because I won.
tried Sprite, it hurt you.
Yeah, it's true. Me and soda don't. That's because soda's
we quit soda and we tried to
I quit soda years ago, but that's what makes it. We're talking about soda right now. Feel free to stick this in the podcast or not, but let's talk about soda for a minute.
The popular horror game soda.
Soda is not anything anyone should be drinking. If you're drinking right now, stop, because it's full of shit. But
they've got some really good flavors for Mountain Dew Kickstart.
Drinking soda now.
I just tried watermelon.
Just not.
It was nuts.
Buying it. There was a point in my life where, and I feel like I was the typical American probably just consumes like cans of fucking soda like every day, and that would be me. And then I got woke. #woke. Stay woke. Realized soda is terrible for you. Quit drinking it. It was like years ago. But,
Same.
So it tastes like candy now. So it's like, once a month I get like the little 12 ounce.
And they sell them all like tiny now, and that's great.
The 12 ounce or 16 ounces, I think. I don't know. It feels in between. Anyway.
I'm just happy they got smaller serving sizes because everything is fucking huge.
Everything is fucking huge.
They had the mini size at Starbucks for like a little while, and it was great. That was the perfect size.
Yeah.
But now they're all gone, and motherfucker. Anyway.
Sometimes, depending on which Starbucks you go to.
So we watched some fires, and there are a lot of metaphors at play, and not everyone likes metaphors. So right off the gate, I fucking like the game. I like a lot of what it does. It's very similar to what was the name of that fucking horror game? God damn it, we were just talking about it. The one where it's like the fucking.
We were just talking about it?
Not just now. The Dotlov, I don't know how to say that. It's some Russian fucking word, but the Dotlov Pass incident.
Kolot?
Kolot, thank you. Yeah, Kolot. It plays a lot like Kolot, where it's like, it's you, your map, your compass, and good luck.
I'd say it has those things in common, but I don't say it plays a lot like Kolot, or however you pronounce it, because that's all you do in Kolot. But in this game, you're actively throughout the entire game talking to another character.
True, which is great.
And it's not a matter of like, trying to use your map and compass to figure out where you are and where to go. It
is if you play with your location off on the map, which I have heard significantly increases the immersion for the game, which, I don't know. I think that would have just added maybe an hour onto the game.
Immersion?
Otherwise wouldn't have been there.
I feel like I would just be like, where am I? Is that immersion?
That's immersion.
No, just because...
Immersion is a synonym for annoyance.
No, shit, I mean, it's just because you suddenly would like, well, no, but like, bro, if like you were in the forest, like, like you wouldn't know where you're at. That doesn't mean that the game is suddenly more immersive now. It just means it's fucking harder to play. And this is a 4-hour fucking game, so why would you even want to do that?
See, that's the great thing about Kolot, is that it's perfect because that's the feeling that they're trying to go for. This feeling of like you're fucking lost.
Or whatever.
Yeah, and which is heavily horror oriented, whereas Firewatch, not so much. Really narrative driven. Is that better? Not narrative focused, narrative driven. And so that way, Rachel just shifted her eyes. Like I'm a goddamn idiot.
It's got a story in it. No, you're not.
No, but like, so yeah. Anyway, we're harping on this too much. I really like the game, the story, the stuff with your wife was really.
So okay. So let's talk about it for a minute. The game starts off where you are, and this is something hilarious happened to me when I started the game off. You are getting in a truck. You're playing a dude named Henry. You're getting in a truck. You're about to go to your new job. And in the beginning of the game, as a form of exposition, a creative form, I would say, of exposition, there are like cards that come up and tell you something that you did in your past, and you get to choose between one or two options, which... don't play a significant role in the game. I think it's just a way for them to... I think it's just a way... I edit this so that I don't say I think it's just a way 5 times. I think it's just an interesting way a smart way of exposition. Basically telling you your character's history without dumping it in an artificial way in the game, though I think that, honestly, because you are talking with Delilah throughout the game and she asks you things about your life, that they actually didn't even need to have that beginning. They really, in my opinion, they didn't, because you end up telling Delilah, what happened with your past anyway, and what you do with, because essentially you're married. And your wife has early onset Alzheimer's, I think, yes. Right? And so she just, you can't really take care of her, so she's living with her family in Australia.
Well, not at the beginning. At the beginning, you have the option to try to take care of her in either a home or on your own, which I think both of us tried to take care of her on our own.
So, either way, she's either in a home or at her parents'.
I think regardless, her parents come and take her. So...
Regardless, you can't deal with her anymore. You're not taking care of her anymore.
Yes. She is a, quote, different person.
And after she leaves, I think you decide to take this job.
Yes.
And that's where the game starts off. It's your first day at your new job, and you meet essentially your boss, I guess.
Yep,
Delilah, who's in another watchtower.
No, she's totally your boss. They tell you that, yeah.
And you never meet her, by the way.
Nope. And that's something I'd like to talk about for a little bit. Some games just they're I don't know if they're afraid to, or if they just do not have the staff or the ability to show people. Like, I've played so many fucking indie games where the graphics are great, everything's great, but they will not show. They will go out of their way to not animate a human talking or a person in the game. I get that it's really fucking hard, but at this point, it's like ridiculous. When I actively see that you're shying away from like showing someone talking to you, it's just it's kind of ridiculous. Firewatch is kind of like that because they had animators. They have really good animators. I love the fact that you can see yourself walking. You can look down and see your fucking feet. I love that. I love that you can see yourself picking stuff up with your own arms, messing around. You can pick stuff up with your arm and twist it around. I love that. It really helps for the immersion. But the problem comes when... Oh, shit. Wow. That was quick. Yeah. It was just like... That dude booked it. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, like... When the game actively shies away from showing you Delilah, I knew that they were going to do that right from the beginning because they were fucking avoiding, like, the thing with the two things that hinted to me that they were not going to show Delilah regardless was the scene at the lake with the kids, which, by the way, really funny if you take the boombox and throw it in the lake. That I love that. Their reaction is just amazing, especially when the other girl is like, "Yeah, fuck you." It was really weirdly done. Anyway, but
it was great just because it's so funny.
Yeah, we both laughed. There was a scene at the lake. That scene at the lake, the two girls, the fact that you can zoom in and they're just like silhouettes was like, oh, they're not. They don't. I don't know if it's just like lack of confidence or what. But then the scene where you see the guy, whose name I forget, the dad of.
Spoiler. Then again, we're in
spoiler territory.
Yeah.
I'm mayor of Spoiler Town, USA.
Basically, you see a silhouette of a dude. Of course, in this I mean, I see what you're saying, but the thing with Delilah, whereas the other non-essential characters, the father of the kid, I can't remember.
I think it was Brian.
Yeah, there we go. It's Brian. No, you're right. It's Brian. You start with a B, but I wanted to say Billy, but I was like, that's not right. I think that what you're trying to say is that they avoided putting Delilah in just because of the difficulty or whatever, but as far as the theme of the story, I think they did it on purpose, and it works better this way. And the reason why I say that I think they did it on purpose is because Ned and the two girls you can actually see them, even if it's just their figures. But Delilah, you never see any fucking indication of her. You can actually zoom in on the tower in the game, on her tower, and there's not even a fucking shadow of her. Which I was surprised to, and honestly wish they would have done that, but, it's made best too because you get to go to her tower and she's not even there. You just see, like, her shirt and the drawing that she did of you and, like, some clothes, like, there's just, like, this shadow of her. I think they did that for a reason, because to me, especially in my playthrough, where I was like, hey girl, and she was like, hey boo.
Yeah,
we were, like,
it cannot be stressed that Rachel was in love with this girl.
I loved Delilah. My wife was dead to me, basically. It felt like some I would imagine how do I say this? I got the impression like it was like some sort of online relationship, but like online only, and that you never see this person, but you guys are like dating, you know what I mean? And then you just you're done. At least for her anyway, she was like done.
Yeah, I kind of got that impression at the end when she was just like, yeah, I'll come visit. And it's like, and even Henry was like, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, it was interesting because before you get to the part where you guys are like, I can't remember exactly what she said to me, but I was like, I told her, I was like, yeah, like, I would love to do that with you. And she was like, yeah, I can, I can't remember. Basically, she was sitting on me and like, I'm like, I think it faded to the next scene and like, we totally did it on the walkie-talkies, you know what I'm saying? Like, I laid on my cot and then just like...
Yeah, she was like fucking drunk.
Sexted on the walkie.
That was when the fire started and you guys are trying to figure out what to name the fire. And
well, that's right.
She was like, oh, I really wish I was over there. And you were like, oh, yeah, me too. She was like, oh, the things I could do over there. And
yeah.
You're like, oh.
How did I forget that?
And you had the choice of whether to be quiet or say, what would you do?
Oh, yeah. And
totally Rachel was totally like, fucking describe that in vivid detail.
Yeah.
Also, they're not very far away. Like, she could totally, like, trek down there and, like, take, like, half an hour.
Dude, she leaves, like, one time during the entire fucking game, and that's when she's just like, hey, go to that fucking tree and get that other walkie-talkie.
Yeah, shit really hits the fan, and that's when she decides to, like, go out and, like, fucking actually do something. But, yeah. No, are you saying that, Firewatch might be using metaphors?
Yes.
Are you saying that maybe there's some aspect of Delilah's relationship that is reflecting on Henry's relationship with his wife? In that there is a woman there that he loves, but he does not see?
I guess depending on how you play... Because you could not love or love. I mean, in my playthrough, I actually was like, yo, you should...
Yeah, you were totally fucking in love. But here's the thing. My playthrough kind of went that way anyway. I didn't go so far as to take off my fucking wedding ring, by the way. Jesus. But there was a certain point when I got to that point where it was like, holy shit, she's kind of dead.
Here's the deal. I didn't actually take off the wedding ring. A scene loaded and I noticed it on the desk. So yeah. I guess my dialogue choices had led me to that point. But I would just like to state for the record that despite the fact that I was like, yo, Delilah, babe, we need to meet, we need to hook up, you need to come move in with me, we need to make out. I did grab my picture and my ring before I left to get on that helicopter. I did not leave it there.
That's true. I would have done that had I known that you could do that. But yeah, I wasn't paying attention at that point. I was like, there's a fucking fire. I gotta get out of here. Also, I was like, wait, he didn't take it off before? Why would he take it off now? Anyways, I don't even know if like maybe my dialogue options made it so that I didn't put that stuff there. But anyways, yeah, their relationship is really interesting. I really like both of their characters. I like how flawed both of them are, but I also like that, I really liked sort of right off the bat, Delilah was like, hey, so what's fucking wrong with you? No one who takes this job is fucking straight in the head.
It's funny because I found her fucking annoying, actually, with that bit of dialogue.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
When I answered her, I was being like heavily dismissive, but then she apologizes to me and tells me that she was drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. I also like the little notes between the two other, I almost said camp counselor, the other two Firewatchers, I don't know. I'll just call them Firewatchers. It was kind of a stupid name, but...
Rangers or something?
Yeah, the Rangers. Their relationship was interesting. Did you read all of those notes? Mm-hmm. So you got to the part where you realized that one of them was... one of them kind of liked the other one.
I got that vibe.
That was sad. And then he like wrote like with his girlfriend or something, and he was just like... Ugh. Anyway, that's sad to think about. So let's stop thinking about it. So the narrative kind of goes in an interesting way. Right off the bat, like I was getting vibes that the game was going to do some sort of a twist, and about halfway through, I kind of figured out what the twist might be. And I was like, I really hope it doesn't do that, because the story that it's trying to tell is more down to earth. It's more nuanced. It's about it's not about a twist. It's about like the fucking nuances of dealing with tragedy, you know? It's about just those fucking humanity and trying to talk about, trying to speak to that the sort of the stuff that people don't really talk about when it comes to like just how shitty life can be, really. But the twist that I thought that was going to happen was because they were setting up Delilah and what's his wife's name?
Oh, Julie?
Jules.
Julia.
Yeah, Julia. And so what I thought the twist might be is that Julia was really Delilah, and that the entire thing was basically just a metaphor for the fact that Julia was becoming a different person, and that Delilah was actually that person, and that's why
I think you've played too many Silent Hill games.
I've played too many. I've played Silent Hill 2 too many times.
Yeah,
there you go. But yeah, that's where I thought it was going to go. And then they started teasing the whole stuff with like the government watching them and stuff. And it was just like, none of that I was taking very seriously. And I was kind of hoping that they didn't go that route. So that's why when the ending was as subtle and nuanced as it was, I was like, oh, I can appreciate this. Thank you. Thank you for not having a fucking Shyamalan goddamn twist in your fucking shit. Don't feel like you have to have that stuff. Because I think it was more effective.
Well, I mean, it depends because they set you up for a twist.
Oh, yeah, they totally do. Yeah.
And so because of that,
but the twist
feels, let me finish.
No.
It feels anticlimactic. So even though it's focused on the theme with the death of the boy, it's very, there is no this. For me, there's no typical up the mountain
there's
kind
a
of
podcast, so you got to describe that.
I can't remember the name of it, but it's your typical. It's your rise in action.
Yeah. Denouement.
Well, I mean, there was a rise in action, but it was the twist of the story where it had you thinking that there was a conspiracy of sorts going on when in actuality... Well, I mean, actually there was, technically.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
no, actually, technically, it wasn't a conspiracy, but it was a dude trying to throw you off.
Yes, that's the point. Like, people say that the game doesn't have a twist, but I say that the twist... Well, there is a twist. It's that there is no twist.
It doesn't have a fucking twist.
Right.
Which, for me, was slightly disappointing, but nowhere near enough for me to say... to someone not to play the game, because despite the fact that when I don't even know why this was, but like I just didn't really care about that boy's disappearance. I was more focused on my interaction with Delilah.
Yeah.
And which, I mean, you could maybe try to get something out of that. You know, why was I more focused on that? Maybe. I don't know. So that when I got to that part and I realized, oh, that's the climax, it didn't feel like one for me. It was like, wah, wah, wah. And what pushed me forward was just kind of that hope, honestly, even though I knew I wouldn't, but the hope that I would see Delilah. And I beg her, I don't know what happened in your all's playthrough, but I beg her, I'm like, yo, babe,
yeah,
chill. Don't get on the helicopter. And she's like, you know what? I'm gonna stay. And then I get there.
And then you go there and she's like,
she changes her mind.
I fucking lied. I'm on the copter. Yeah, I was, in my playthrough, I was like, get on that copter. There was a fucking fire. It's crazy.
But you know what? For me...
Save yourself.
For me, it made going to that tower and not seeing her that much sweeter because, like I said earlier, it was just like a shadow of her.
Yeah.
That was there. Like, you were in her... You knew that she was there in this place for months. And, yeah, it was really cool. So I think that my playthrough was...
superior?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, because you fell in love with her.
But I think that you're supposed to.
Well, I
would imagine a lot of players did, and I would say that's why people probably a lot of people feel disappointed because they were so focused on that relationship with there being the hook of, that conspiracy looming over them.
Right.
That does not mean that Firewatch was bad in any way, though, but I can see why people were, and I mean, I always do a little bit, but that's the cool thing, though. I can look back at that and go, oh, well, that ties into the theme, though. I got caught up in this girl,
Yeah.
And I mean, and here's the deal. This says something about me, too, because in my playthrough, you find Ned's, well, in everybody's playthrough, you find Ned's lair, right? But, and I'm updating her with everything that I find. And she gets to a point where she's like, look, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Like, she's fucked up about Brian, and I am still updating her with everything that I find just so I can see what she'll say. But she stops talking. And, yeah. I'm thinking of it now. I'm kind of in awe of how I played. I think that falls so hard into the theme.
I just really like the visual of the fire. I got particularly enamored with it when I went to Delilah's tower at the end, and she's not there, and I call her, and she's like, "Yeah, bad shit happens, and you've got to talk to your wife." And I was like, that's so, at that moment I was like, it was slowly creeping into my head, but the metaphor of the fire sort of really resonated at that point. That like the fire, a fire, they can't really do anything with it about it. It can't be contained, and all you can do is just sit and watch it. And that's a perfect metaphor for what Henry's going through and the disease that's messing with his wife, and how he can't really do anything but watch. And
no, he can divorce her ass and move on. People feel like,
oh my god, now I know what it feels like at the end of like your favorite fucking movie, and like it's the moment when everything comes together, and it was the moment that you realized you loved the movie, and then you turn around to look at your significant other to see their reaction, and they fucking fart.
Wait, what?
I know, that doesn't really work. No. I just had that visual in my head anyway. But yeah, no, yeah, it's lovely. I really like the game. Yeah, lots of, even the subtle, not subtle, but it was really well executed, the credits as well, because then you're going through the photos that you took on your camera in reverse order, which is funny because like, what happens if you didn't take any pictures? But I took a few. I forgot that I even had a camera.
It's gray squares, I think.
Yeah, it's just white squares. But then you take out the picture of the one that Henry took of himself, and then all of the pictures from Brian. It was just nice because it was going in reverse, and I took all those pictures because Delilah's like, if you really like, Ned's lair, then take a picture of it. And I was like, okay, picture.
Yeah, I took 3.
It was going through all of those. You took like 2 pictures of the raccoon too.
Yeah, I did. And I got an amazing shot because he looks at I got it right. He's looking at the camera, and Delilah scares him off because she's on the walkie-talkie because
I did not get that.
She got a word. There's 200 goddamn word puzzles.
Like pairs.
So she scares the raccoon off, but I got a shot as he's looking at the camera and he's holding that like can, that beer can or whatever. So I got a perfect shot of this raccoon. Yeah.
There's also apparently and we both missed this, but there's a part when the raccoon jumps out at you and scares the shit out of you. You open something. I think it's like some sort of a cupboard or an oven or an old oven. Or
yeah,
something.
It's in that
and
old
it jumps out at you.
Burned
house.
Up, house. And I totally didn't get. I didn't get that. He didn't jump out at me at all.
Yeah, but yeah, trying to think of other things that were good about the game. Basically, all of it really. I just love the idea of having a game where it's all about like what you were saying, gauging someone else's, like, or hearing someone else's opinions on stuff, you know, and that's what the game is. That's what everything is. You're just walking up to stuff and being like, I wonder what I should say to Delilah about this. And then you whip out your walkie-talkie and you're like, I found a field. She's like, it's great. Or she says something cool, like, and then the whole thing with the, I found panties. There are 2 naked girls. Okay, well, why don't you do your fucking job? Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Those fucking...
D has some wit, brah.
Those fucking girls, man.
Oh, they were giant fucking brats.
They cut your how'd they even... What? Kids these days. Mm-hmm. Anyways. So yeah, a lot of people... Then
again, maybe it wasn't the teens.
No, it was. They actually left you a message.
I know, but what if it wasn't the teens? Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Because their camp was, shit-faced.
Yeah. So
and they leave a message being like, dude, you're fucked up.
Yeah. And then your place is ravaged because of Ned coming in
because there's an alarming amount of beer cans, actually, that were... well, then I don't know, but I actually like that theory better, that it was Ned doing that because it was radio communications, or it was
exactly, and he wouldn't know.
Yeah,
whereas the girls would be like, they wouldn't really necessarily know.
Stupid.
They're just little kids. Yeah. No, I like that theory a lot. It's probably what happened, and I just didn't pick up on it. But yeah, no, totally. Great game, really, really good. I think it's worth the $20 we paid. But yeah. So, yeah, Firewatch. There you go.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
I don't know about 20.
Oh my god. What is the only game that's like worth $60 to you is like fucking Dragon Age and
Listen,
Witcher 3?
No. Don't get me wrong. There's not a single fucking game that even is... I begrudgingly dish over $60 even for series that I truly love and am a fan of. I, for instance, am in love with Dragon Age, and I have to pay $10 for a fucking DLC that lasts like 2-3 hours. I'm not happy about that. I have to fucking buy it, and I have to pay $60 for a video game unless I fucking download it. No, I'm not happy about it. I will say that, like, no, it's great. It's just, damn it, prices on this shit. Like, it's like if it were 15, I'd be like, no, it's totally dope. Dude, like, yeah, like, it's 15. Like $14.99, like 15, even $14.99, whatever.
What the hell?
It's just, I don't know, because I think about, like, we just recently got like the Resident Evil remake.
$40.
Yeah, but we got 2 games.
Yeah, no, that's what
There's 2 for $40, and you could get plenty of hours in both those games. So, then again,
granted, they're remasters.
They're remasters of a remaster.
True. And they do not.
Or a remake of a remake.
And they do not run at 60 FPS. So, someone call the frame rate police, because what the fuck, guys? No 60 FPS in my Resident Evil HD remake?
Sucks.
Anyways, I kid, but I really wanted 60 FPS in that game. I'm kidding also. Anyways, Firewatch, good. I'm glad we agree that it's worth $60. Good night.
There's no fucking way it's worth $60. I can turn on the fucking TV and get a good vibe from a movie with a thematic element and not pay $60.
Would you pay $60 for a movie?
Fuck no, I wouldn't pay $60.
Not even Interstellar?
Movie. No, that's more my sister's.
Let's ask her.
I have movies that touch me to the core, and I still would not pay $60 for them.
Question of your lifetime. Of my lifetime.
Okay.
Anne of Green Gables. $60.
Oh, fuck. It's funny you mention that. Because I absolutely adore the Canadian TV series of Anne of Green Gables. And you can get the DVDs. They're a decent price, but like I haven't bought them yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the price. So, I mean,
Okay.
for me, there's a limit. I'm not the type of person who can just like. Then again, I'm also poor as fuck. So maybe if I had just a higher disposable income, I wouldn't mind disposing my money on that kind of shit.
Right,
but...
right. Yeah. Cost does play a factor. So, anyways. All right.
Firewatch, I recommend it if it's fun to play. Just know that it's a short game.
Hey again. So, we finished a game, Layers of Fear, that we started a while ago. And we said we'd update you on it, and here we are.
This is our update, and it's just going to be a couple minutes.
Yep.
Because for me...
Hold on.
Okay.
Spoilers.
Incoming. Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead and skip this, or, well, turn the podcast off, because I'm going to put this at the end, just in case. Spoilers go at the end, non-spoilers go at the beginning. So
okay, non-spoiler part. Game's fucking stupid.
Spoiler part. Game's fucking stupid.
Wait, that's non-spoiler part.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So, Layers of Fear is it's really weird. Like I was mulling this over on Twitter the other day, and like it does some of the scares really well. Like some of those scares are legit. And, like, I get the idea to sort of try and hone the what PT started and really kind of craft it. But the problem here is that it's a hollow experience. There's nothing holding it together. And this goes back to our original review. We kind of had misgivings about it, and we were hesitant to sort of recommend it or not, based on how the story was going to net out. And I will say that Rachel was right. It went nowhere. It just did this. It was just what it was. It didn't really try to resolve anything. If anything, the ending was just, it could have done without it, honestly. Like, oh, he's a tortured artist. He's constantly trying to draw his wife because she died. Like, yeah, we fucking got that. Like, the moment we picked up, like a piece of her flesh, it's like, okay, yeah, tell us, do something different. Yeah, it seemed like
the unveiling of the painting at the end and her, like, being there, it was like, duh.
Yeah, no shit.
The climax seemed to be that she drowned herself, but it's like, nobody cares.
Especially when the protagonist did it in such a goofy fucking way.
Oh my god. Lady, I gotta take a dump.
I gotta go.
Hurry up.
He sounded like a fucking toddler. Like a child.
He sounded like a toddler throughout the entire fucking game. Honestly, the voice, well, I don't. Voice acting in indie games are, I don't really expect much, so it's fine, but...
Layers of Fear, written and conceived by the band members of Linkin Park.
His voice was... so annoying, though.
Yeah, it was that actor was not very, needs to work. It needs some work. But in terms of whether I'd recommend it, this is kind of a weird case because, like, it's scary. Some of those scares are legit. Some of those scares are really nice. They do some subtle things. Some stuff that you wouldn't, like that baby standing on the bookcase. I didn't even see that. And Rachel was like, "Oh shit, look at it," and watch our stream of it. By the way,
Yeah, but that wasn't scary.
no, it wasn't scary, but I like that sort of thing where it's not like trying to be like, "Oh, I'm fucking scary, I'm in your face." But that's the thing about Layers of Fear; it did that too. So like, it's hard because it's like it tries to have its cake and eat it too, and it doesn't really work out.
Listen,
that well.
I don't think it's hard. This game is fucking stupid. It was okay before the update, but
mainly
then,
because it had potential.
Post update, they went fucking bonkers. Like, just were trying to smack you over the head with what is going on, so that 5 minutes into the game you figured it out. Nothing changes. There's no surprise. I would not fucking recommend buying this shit. I was trying to be nicer in the earlier version. But thinking about it's PT and it's Silent Hill bullshit, and then just at the end where like you're not even at the end, you know, you go and you pick up the book and then they drew themselves
as the credits.
The credits, and you're like, oh, this is the credits, but no, it's not the fucking credits though. You're not done because then like in a minute the actual credits, and it's just like there's some interesting visual elements in this game that I think they do good. Right? Yeah. And I think if you're interested in it, go to YouTube. Better yet, watch Bob. He streamed it. Watch that. And don't waste your fucking money on it.
You could do that. It's just sad. It had so much potential. But then it just didn't do anything with it. It was just like, it's Layers of Fear is style before substance, and I think that's resonating with Rachel a lot. Mm-hmm. So yeah, okay, that's our update. Don't buy it. I would say buy it if you're a fan of Silent Hill or know the genre, have played some PT clones and want to see like probably one of the best PT clones. But that's the thing. It's still a fucking PT clone, and it's not a very good one. So it's like.
That's because there's not gonna be one.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
PT had a reason for everything that it did, but when you go, oh, that's cool, what that game did, and you don't understand why it stuck the shit in there, and then suddenly you go, oh, well, it's off the market, like people can't play it. Let me capitalize on that bullshit. So I don't think there's gonna fucking, yeah. I mean, like the whole concept of it being a good PT clone seems like a fucking oxymoron.
Right. No, that's totally what I'm saying. But in terms of it being like one of the best ones, yeah, it is. Because it reached for it.
I can take
tried
a
to mimic
dump
it the
six times, take a picture and be like, yo, which dump is the best? It's still a fucking dump. Fuck this game. I sound mad. But I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is what it's coming out as, because like I wanted to see the ending and I wanted to be surprised, because other than like what's gonna happen, what is, it had nothing. Well, not nothing. I don't know, whatever, just shut the fuck up. I don't know who I said that to. I'm just done. Disappointed.
Music was good though.
Harry Baby was great.
Good night, sweet Harry Baby.
And I'm gonna miss Harry Baby.
May a flight of smaller Harry Babies sing thee to thy rest.
Fuck this game. Don't get it.